Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason. Today we're taking a look at a match that was recently played on Darkside. Darkside, right? Hold on. This isn't Comic Catcher. No, Darkside version 3.0. I always get those two mixed up. Darkside going to be spawning here on the front lines. As the red team Cortex commander, it's going to be none other than Mr. Everest. Going to be showing us what he's got, hailing at 35 true skill, my goodness, and spawning on the very juicy metal extractor position here. We have our red team leader. All the way on the other side of the map, spawning in the pocket, goes by the name of Shutdown. Shutdown also going to be playing as a Cortex commander and going to be going up against the second rated for the red team, Al-Hazred, the yellow commander here, going to be playing as Armada, our first Armada commander of the day. And our second in command for blue going to be Juma, playing right in the middle of the map. This is a not very common map, actually. Yeah, I feel like we don't see this map all too often, but there is some cool stuff about it. We've got these little buildings right here, which for scale, I mean, you know, if this is the scale of like a building that a person goes into, you know, these are like industrial factories and whatnot. Kind of terrifying how massive these robots are, but anyways, these buildings are also worth a little bit of metal here. In fact, I can activate this and it should show, yeah, a couple hundred, 300, there's 150 there, 150 there, 150 there. So a lot of metal to be reclaimed from these buildings right here in the middle of the map, but also there's these 3.2 metal extractors, that are available here as well. So there's a lot to fight over in the two big craters on this map. Same here, there's a couple of metal structures here, and then of course on the outskirts as well. It's a really high density metal map, but only in very specific areas. So we've talked about this before, I talk about this every so often, but there's generally two types of maps, right? There's maps that have very concentrated metal in one spot or another. Maps like, for instance, Rosetta come to mind, where all the metal is concentrated in, for instance, that 10 metal per second spot and then a couple of other spots on the map. Versus other maps like, for instance, All That Glitters, where there's a lot of metal available on the map, but it's all spread out between 100 metal spots. You have to try and capture and control all at the same time. That's kind of the two general prevailing map layouts that we have currently. Both fun, but they play differently. For instance, on maps like this, where you can have all the metal concentrated in one area, for instance, static defense can be really powerful. Yeah, definitely can take a forefront here. For instance, setting up heavy laser towers, LLTs, or MLTs, medium laser towers, beamers, or twin guards, that sort of thing. Also setting up, for instance, things like gauntlets or agitators, even possible. Still need to be proven. you have to make sure they still get some value, but certainly still can be very useful. Team, cries out the green commander. Juma fighting for their life to try and control as much of this metal as possible. Most of it has already handily been claimed, though, by the red team. There is, at the very least, a resbot here from Rage going to be reclaiming some of this metal over here, but already two of those buildings have been claimed. Another one over here and another one over on the southern side have both been eaten up by resbots right here for the red team. Definitely an advantage for the red team for the time being. Grunts are continuing to stream out, though. If we can shut down these grunts, if we can shut down this resbot, I think we're going to be in a pretty good spot, and we do. Okay, resbot is shut down, and that gives this resbot over here for the Seafoam Green Commander all the leeway in the world to eat up all this wreckage right here, so this is definitely going to be worth quite a lot. We do have a just as heated battle on the southern side here, as well as some of the blue units are contesting each other. This is already ramping up to an extremely fast-paced game. Falling behind here right here, but Victor 10, 11, 12. Victor the 12th going to be marching forward here as the hot pink commander, marching right alongside the yellow commander, both building those metal extractors, both trying to capture as much land as possible. Ooh, massive tick run by over here on the southern side. That's 12 ticks. Not quite enough to kill a commander. You need about 20 or so to kill a commander confidently. 30 is probably ideal, but 20 will do it sometimes if the commander runs out of energy, or maybe they're not microed properly, that sort of thing. But anyways, 13 ticks, 12 ticks, definitely going to be sufficient to at the very least do a little bit of damage. Oh, that's unfortunate. One of the ticks gets caught behind. Obviously, ticks quite disposable, but suffice it to say that you don't want to throw them away. You do want to try and get as much value out of them as possible. A little bit of a splitty right here, but it does cost twice as much APM to do that. And already we watched a bunch of the yellow ticks get lasered down right there as they were jumped on by the forces of a Shutdown, who had more than enough APM to split the reinforcing grunts and actually go and deal with all that. Ticks that went north, shut down confidently. 4 of them in the back line over here still need to be dealt with. We do have some grunts moving into position, though. Yep, forces are well aware of this. A couple of ticks do burst through. Shut down a 2.0 metal extractor. They also find some rocketeers. Ticks actually can beat rocketeers pretty easily. Takes a little bit of micro, but they can easily shut down Rocketeers just because it's a basically perfect matchup. A couple of pawns running through as well. I think they could have sniped these metal extractors, but instead they're not going to go ahead and do that. Hans Joachim trying to set up an LLT defensive web over here on the front lines to try and blast back Flaxia's XD. Already that 3.2 metal extractor being up and running, though, is providing quite a lot of very juicy metal back to the purple commander. Ticks in the backline, sniping another metal extractor over here. Super annoying, especially on these maps where the area is so wide open. There's tons and tons of opportunity paths. The entire map is an opportunity path. It can be very easy to accidentally lose tons and tons of your economy. Way more economy than usual to just a couple of enemy units in the backline, a couple of scout units. The ticks want to get some value. They hear or they see those purple ticks hot on their tails. There we go. Explosion will kill one of those ticks. That is one of the nice things about those explosions. They will sometimes save you. And I think if these ticks jump on those metal extractors, they can certainly kill them. Build power saves it. Construction turret repairing the metal extractor right there, trying to save it. Force is eventually going to be pulled to try and deal with all that. Mass medium tank coming out right here for Fart Wizard. Going to be trying to set up a very stormy army, right? Just setting up a big ball of units and trying to hope that eventually you can overwhelm your opponent. It's doable. We've definitely seen it happen, but usually that timing works out so that it's just about the time the T2 units start heading out on the field. Sometimes that can be devastating. Rocketeers blasting apart the army right here for the green commander. Sir Wash trying to set up a couple of frontline LLTs. Not going to be very useful though once those aggravators start firing away en masse. Those Cortex rocket bots, very powerful. Rocket bots in general, very powerful. Always discussion in the Discord channel and in the subreddit and basically everywhere else as to whether the rocket bots are OP or not. I don't think so, but definitely with proper control can feel overwhelming to say the very least. Yeah, Pawn's looking for a trade right here. A little repair hug going on between these two commanders, trying to set each other up. We do have a heavy laser tower coming up as well. One fairly cost-efficient solution to the rocket bot is just setting up one of those heavy laser towers. If you know that your opponent is going to commit to the heavy laser tower, or pardon me, going to commit to the rocket bots, then you know that the heavy laser tower is almost always going to get value as an area denial tool, parking your units underneath its area of effect and then firing away whenever they're repaired up to full health. Basically guarantees that you're going to have a safe zone to keep your units parked in. But there are some vehicles rolling out to the fronts right now, and as long as they're firing away, those Wolverines can get some value firing past the range of the heavy laser tower here. Mass Aggravator doing pretty well right now for Customize. Yeah. Despite the medium tank sturdiness, those rockets do a huge burst of damage every time they can connect. And if you have enough units, you can just fire enough of them that it really doesn't matter how many tanks you build. The very small AoE on those rockets can help sometimes too, especially if those tanks are in a ball. And this fight looks pretty good right now for the Green Commander, I have to say. Forward vehicle lab going to be quite nice. At the very least, pumping those vehicles out on the front lines, meaning that the time to get to the front is going to be reduced significantly. But of course, as a bot player, you also have the luxury of res bots, which effectively are, you know, you can kind of think of them as production on the front lines. Production from the corpses on the front lines. Now we're up 2v2 though. The Maroon Commander Evangelion pulling out from the crater right here that's been well won by Mr. Everest, and instead leaning a little bit heavier and Customize here. I think this is a great tactical decision. Now that the red commander is essentially in control of the choke point right here for the blue team, there's basically no way they're going to break back into this area. So it means that a little bit more force can be applied over here on the midsection of the map. Big run by right here is a bunch of grunts have broken through. Okay, not bad. Sweeping across the battlefield here, taking out metal extractors left, right, and center. You know what? These 5 grunts, 6 grunts have done more damage, I think, to the economy than all the other units combined. Just managing to slip through the cracks just enough to get to the bases and be annoying and poke away at this, poke away at a lot of this metal extractor economy over here. There they go, keep on moving. Moving these past the metal extractors and making sure that we're trying to blast them down. But my goodness, yeah, that was, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 metal extractors down so far, and I don't think they're done yet. E-convert, oh no, E-converter between the solar panels pops as well. This is a huge play right here from MVP. MVP sufficient to say. Doing very, very good work. You know, the heavy laser tower static defense over here is quite phenomenal. Pushing back quite a lot of the momentum right here from the Maroon Commander. Those Wolverines are pretty annoying. Not the end of the world, though. And we do have a little bit of build power set up as well. We're setting up some radar jammers as well, just to make sure that they can't fire away for free. You're going to need some vision, some radar, something like that in order to fire away. But at the very least, as long as we have some build power to repair everything as well in the front, I think it'll be all good. Juma still requesting reinforcements. Trying desperately to get the teammates in on the production cycle. The bad guy going up against Mateshko. Whoa, my goodness. T2 Lab on the front lines with 2 turrets of build power. We are spending the metal fairly efficiently here. You can see we're deconstructing the T1 lab and constructing the T2 lab at the same time. Makes me a little worried, though. Yeah, I mean, if these medium tanks, rocket bots, if all of this pushes forward just a little too far and they discover that T2 lab, you're done. But so far, it's gone unscouted. T2 lab remains unseen right now, and it means that, yeah, these first T2 units are going to hit the battlefield like trucks full of bricks. Still these grunts in the backline, my goodness. 9 kills between all of these, and I feel like all of them have been metal extractors. Look at the devastation. All of these mexes have been brought down right here for the Tan Commander. We're still losing metal extractors here, the red team that is. My goodness, these grunts have been efficient. MVP single-handedly crippling the economy of the red team right now by just blowing up metal extractors everywhere. Well, that's phenomenal. Grunt right here just barely out of range to try and improve all this. The red commander up to T2 right now has had a magnificent boon of metal from all these mexes being up and online right here, so definitely going to be able to afford that T2 quite confidently. Tank battle still a little bit uncertain over here on the southern side for MVP, but most of that is because the micro has been focused on making sure that these grunts in the backline get tremendous value. And for what it's worth, they certainly have. More mexes fall. Oh, a little bit of friendly fire there from the Sheldon. Eventually gets the job done, but a little bit of friendly fire right there. Man, these grunts. They have been a menace right here. I'm glad to see that we're rebuilding the metal extractors right now, but definitely shutting down all these mexes for the Tan Commander hurts that vehicle economy quite significantly. Central section of the map, not clearly owned by anybody here. Hot Pink Commander trying to contest it from the Purple Commander. Light Pink Commander also snagging all the metal from the corpses right here of these commanders. Going to be overflowing most of it to the team, but that's not the end of the world, because at least some of it is going to be spent on T2 units, and that's always valuable. Oh, aggravators were thrown away over here. Yikes. Pawn's having a field day jumping on top of the aggravators. Not sure why we threw the aggravators array right there. Was Customized going for T2? He was. Okay. So Customized stepped up to T2 and decided to try and use the aggravators to just get a little bit more distance pushed in. Not sure I like that, though. That's a lot of metal just deposited on the other side of the map here. The advantage of these mexes being down is going to start expressing itself slowly but surely over time here, but donating metal en masse like that is certainly dangerous. Heavy laser turret trying to blast down these pawns as much as possible. Just shy of a one-hit kill, though. We need Dragon's Maw in order to properly shut down medium tanks, though. Heavy laser tower is not necessarily designed for that. Sort of the portable Dragon's Maws have arrived. The Fiends going to be marching out right here. The Pyros blasting away with their gouts of flame to try and take down all of this T1 chaff running forward right here, and eventually the medium tanks as well, I'm sure. Once those Fiends get up to number, they can really start to do some serious damage. Until then, though, little run-bys like this are going to continue to be a problem. Yep, there's a metal extractor down. Still fighting the good fight over here, but those Sheldon are starting to ball out. Mr. Everest is going for a classic Sheldon ball. Trying to start building that snowball to eventually break through this choke point and eventually overwhelm the blue team. We do have an agitator set up over here. It's kind of blocked by the radar jammer, but at the very least the agitator should be able to fire away at reasonable distance. Commander Death up on the northern side, by the way. That's going to be the Seafoam Green Commander. Rage loses the commander over here. Don't die. The last thing they wrote before plunging to their doom. Full-blown T2 battle up here, though. Forward T2 lab will mean reinforcements come out quite a bit quicker for the the orange commander, Matejko, or Matejko, however it's pronounced. Going to also set up a T1 lab here. Okay, not the end of the world. Sending a T2 constructor back to build the advanced metal extractors, by the way. Basically everybody and their mother trying to set up a T2 economy right now. The missing metal extractors are starting to become a problem. More units trying to run by. Fat Boy on the front line. You can see the scars of its previous shots left on the world. Doing an impressive amount of damage. This is exactly the reason you don't throw the Rocketeers away. Oftentimes they can be a really good force for thwarting a push from those early T2, just because they do such a huge burst of damage, especially en masse. And once you have enough of these butlers up, you can always just reclaim these. Use them to make some T2 units and start pushing forward whenever you can. It's almost like a Tsar Rush. It's like a Tsar Rush minus the Tsar. With the Fat Boy over here. Oh my goodness, the grunts still moving around in the back line here. These are the ones that broke through the line over here for Fart Wizard. Finding their way into the backs, trying to blast apart any of this that's happening. And I'm glad to see that finally the Hot Pink Commander Victor 12 is going to start building some LLTs around the metal extractors. So far it's been 1 or 2 grunts every single time, breaking through and killing tons and tons of metal extractors. That kind of damage just hasn't been done to the blue team here. So the red team has the metal advantage. They've held control over this northern section for a good long while. Ooh, Fiend's having a field day right now as well, blasting away all this T1. They've also held most of the control over this southern side here as well. But despite all that, all the metal extractors in the back continually being blasted apart. I mean, it definitely starts to add up. Yeah. Oh, Bull's right here. Do catch the Fat Boy. Okay. Fat Boy quite sturdy, but those Bulls pack a punch. Just like that, blasting it down pretty quickly. Yeah, they want it. They want it badly. Boom goes the Fat Boy, and that's going to be a nice little pick right there. Removing a lot of firepower from the front lines right here. Very, very nicely done for Hanzo King. Using those heavy tanks to try and blast away this army. Actually, enough of them, it looks like, that we're confident to push. And want to be careful not to lose them, though. I think that's what the Purple Commander feels as well. Pulling them back and just getting repaired over here. Yeah, nicely done. We have a little repair station where these can go back and just get nice and patched up over here if they should so choose. Grunts and Aggravators should move forward, definitely. Keeping the pressure high. Not a bad idea. Red Commander is still sitting on a lot of Rocketeers. At this point, I feel like we should dissolve these, turn them into T2 forces. Sheldon Ball is sufficient. Blasting away everything over here. The Orange and Seafoam Green Commander. Looks like they traded out over here. For some reason I thought actually this one's way more damage. I have a feeling that this was, these are actually 2 different explosions right here. Reading the battlefield. The signs of a battle long past. Scorpion turret set up over here as well, and we're going for another one. Sheldon firing away. This is going to be an annoying defense to break, but you know what? If there's a tool to do that job, it's going to be the Tremor. Here it goes, firing away into the distance. It can kill all of this with just a single unit if we can keep it close and keep it safe. Ooh, which we aren't. No radar jammer here. We desperately need a radar jammer bot. Yeah, they want to shut down that Tremor immediately, and for good reason. That thing can melt away a front line. Oh, no. That is an expensive loss right there. Those Tremors are very, very expensive tanks. Losing that without really getting much value, that hurts quite a lot. Pop-up Persecutor here firing away as well. Persecutor turret's very, very nice for denying that T2 from pushing forward. Fiend's trying to get some engagement here as well. Not bad. I mean, it's the right fight for them, but there's just not enough of them to deal with all those hounds. I think the Persecutors here are going to be the kings of the show. Bunch of Fiends moving forward now. Scorpion turrets to try and clean a lot of this up. LLTs as well. Pop-up flamethrower turrets, and it all goes down. That's an excellent hold right there from the Seafoam Green Commander. Switching perspectives here, we see a spy bot out and available right now for the Cyan Commander, revealing a lot of what's happening on the front line. We have tons and tons of Sheldon firing away. A couple of Arbiters here as well to deal with any units that happen to stay still, or any static defense structures. And this area, which is largely uncontested. Yeah, feels like we're sort of neglecting this midsection in order to just try and push the southern, but for what it's worth, my goodness, with just some of those T2 rocket bots managing to break through this line. Well, that's not entirely true. The Bulls were helping a lot as well, but Shutdown does manage to, 1, kill the Yellow Commander, and 2, break that T2 lab. Are we going to start up some production in the back line? We need it immediately, but we need the build power. There's no build power to start up any production, so we're just going to go for some static defense. Not the end of the world here, but you do have to hope that your teammate is on top of it. Victor 12 trying desperately to get some units on the field. We're going for a fusion reactor right now. Not really enough metal for it, though. And we're overflowing energy, but we don't really have the metal for a fusion reactor at the moment. Fiend's having a great time blasting away the Rocketeers here. Bull's also doing a great job. Commander died. No surprise there. And just like this area that was largely uncontested has suddenly flipped sides and is now going to be easily controlled by the blue team. Now what I'll say is we definitely need to get some units in here building these metal extractors immediately. It looks like we do have it planned. Is it this guy? It may be. Yeah, it is this guy. Okay, that's not going to happen for a good long while here. I think we need to get those mexes up a little bit quicker than that. Maybe sending a butler in that direction just to get some T1s spinning away. Or just dedicating a T2 constructor. Either one could be worth it. Bull's trying to engage with these tigers here. You really don't want them clustered up like that, though. The AoE from the bulls works against them if they get too clumped up against the enemy units. They end up just shooting themselves in the foot. Bull's very, very good, but that was definitely nowhere near as efficient a fight as probably the purple commander was hoping for. Fiends marching forward right now. Banishers firing away. We do even have some of those rocket trucks, the negotiators, firing away their heavy missiles as well. These bulls have gone on a tear, but their reign of terror is over. One more remains. Still dangerous, still difficult to deal with. The Rocketeers have been sent forward, by the way. No longer interested in properly microing these. We're just sending them forward and hoping that they can kill something. And they will. They're firing away at some advanced metal extractors, slowly but surely. Going to start blasting those around. Help, cries out the hot pink commander, who is watching a Rocketeer fire away at his defenses with no way of saving himself. Hot pink commander, going to save the day. That's a lot of solar panels, by the way. That's a fusion reactor's worth of solar panels. Oh no, pardon me. That was more solar panels than just right here. Half a fusion reactor's solar panels worth of solar panels. Yeah, not ideal. The aggravators that have just marched forward right here, still getting so much value. That's funny. Yeah, these were just fight commanded forward ages ago, and they're managing to find their way into the back lines, popping some solar panels, doing all sorts of damage. Lovely stuff right there. Tank commander, a little bit busy on the front line, unable to try and save themselves in the back line. The hounds not being allocated in that direction either. 2 hounds fight commanded in this direction would shut this down quite nicely, but low is the case. And we shall not see that today. Here goes that T2 constructor. I was a little preoccupied. Gonna go set up some pit bulls and then come back and do the metal extractors. I think I'd prioritize the metal extractors, but MVP certainly has done quite enough this game. Earned their rest. Fiends now marching forward on the northern side, trying to blast out a metal extractor. A couple more of them have broken through, though. Yeah, rocket trucks, rocket bots, not really going to be ideal for dealing with Fiends. They're much too mobile. Grunts here are a much better option. Czar a much better option as well. Going to start firing away those heavy impulse condensed matter projectiles, trying to blast away any of these that we can. Oh, there we go. Beautifully done. Get one more mechs? No, the Czars will shut it all down. Alright, well, you can definitely see that Circles has a plan. It involves 1,000 Czar tanks. Will it work? Well, it won't be fast, that's all I have to say, and with bases falling left, right, and center, the blue team is suddenly looking overwhelming. We do have another Rocketeer in the back line over here, by the way. Just saying we could move that forward to do a little fight. Easy to lose track of units that you put in the enemy's back line, though. You kind of assume that they're going to die. Pause right there. Interestingly, no anti-nuke for the blue team. 23 minutes in and we have no anti-nuke whatsoever. Essentially just fortunate that nobody on the red team decided to go for a nuclear option. Recluse is out to try and deal with Fiends. Always a little bit spicy watching Recluses try and fire away at those things. At anything, really. It's definitely feels like a gamble. But the front line is broken. MVP's entire front line is completely wide open right now. The tank commander has actually left the game at this point, so these are just hollow units. There we go. Aggravator firing forward right now. Starting to try and shut down some of these advanced solar panels over here in the back line. We do have quite a few Sheldon built up now. Walder's so sturdy that they're going to be difficult to break. You really do need a tremendous number of Sheldon in order to shut them down. Luckily, we have some sumos here, ready to take the heat. Effectively the same role as the welder, just slightly different. Very nicely done. Keeping those Sheldon alive is critical. If the Sheldon go down, suddenly you've lost way too much, and you have to start to snowball all over again. And if you're not producing them constantly, you're never really going to be able to out-snowball your opponent. Persecutor over here on the low ground, by the way. Wouldn't mind seeing maybe a couple more of those. What is going on? Oh, okay. For some reason, that looked like a funky constructor with 4 arms right there to me, but no, it's just a T2 followed by a bunch of Twitchers. Juno missile firing away over here, by the way. Going to start shutting down some of these ticks. That's lovely to see. Obviously, those ticks are annoying to deal with, and the Juno missile mitigates that annoyance quite easily. Does come at a severe cost, but one I'm sure anyone's willing to pay to shut down that tick spam directly into their face. Lightning turret now firing away at a lot of the Sheldon over here. We need our spam forces in front. We do have grunts marching their way forwards right here. We also have some spy bots back here. Those would be useful. Just park those next to these turrets to allow the Sheldon to fire away. We've porked up quite severely here, the yellow commander. Radar jammer going to come up here as well for the yellow commander, making sure that we stay within cloak, just so that we make sure that none of the long-range units can fire away without line of sight. So much reclaim available here, though. And we do have res bots on top of it here. A couple of grave robber picking apart this laboratory. Yeah, 13,000 metal in all this reclaim field here. Whosoever manages to get the first T3 units on the field, I think, is going to probably be able to take this. Yeah, Red Commander building some bombers here. Interesting choice. Trying to diversify the troop order here, just going for a couple of bombers to maybe try and get back into this game. That's basically what it's going to take, is a killer bombing run. The Rocketeer here, running for its life. These constructors trying to do a citizen's arrest. Chasing it down with their little construction guns, trying desperately to grab a hold of it. Down goes one of the constructors. T2, having a hard time. Bulls on the front line, blasting away as well. That is a solid composition right there. Bulls on the front line, Fiends, Sheldons, Sumos, and Mammoths. All the firepower you could ever want, with all the speed that you need. Gunslingers here are not going to really be able to do much. Bull's much too powerful for gunslingers to really deal with. Yeah, you can see these gunslingers being blasted apart. Maybe 2 shots that gunslinger managed to fire before being completely annihilated. Sharpshooters, I think, would probably be a much better option here. If we start massing sharpshooters now, you might have enough. My goodness. Look at this. 11 Zars firing away at the same time. I think if these Zars start moving forward, they might be able to do it, but if they're just going to stand here and be a static defense wall, I think eventually they're going to tear themselves apart. Yeah. What a shame, because I think those Zars probably could have won it. Oh, nuclear missile is up and available. We didn't, oh, pardon me, we didn't put that across the map already, did we? No, I don't see any nuclear scarring. At great cost, this facility down south has been overran. Sumo's the only thing strong enough to be left standing after all this. Sharpshooters wasting their shots on grunts. Not ideal. If we can move, well, we need a lot of sharpshooters. You need enough sharpshooters to deal with chaff, a little bit of chaff, and some of the tankier units, and I think there's nowhere near enough here. That's why the welders are important, is you keep them out in front to deal with any of the lighter units, and that way the sharpshooters are much more likely to prioritize something a little bit sturdier. Whirlwind bombers headed across the map now. What are they targeting? Couldn't tell you what those Whirlwind bombers were targeting right there, but it looks like they're on to better things. No scouting info back here. Yeah, we're just carpet bombing. This actually might end up being a really good bombing run, though. Nope, not concentrated enough. Suddenly, the repair turrets get it all patched back up, and just like that, oh, 8% left on that E converter. That could have been a bit of a pain, but other than that, the Bombers do not manage to achieve all too much. That was the last Hail Mary of the red team, the Marauder and Razorback and everything else tearing apart this base. I think it's no question the blue team has overwhelmed entirely the red, sweeping in from the southern side. But I think realistically it was the aggression that kept leaking through, popping those metal extractors and ever so slightly skewing the economic advantage in the favor of the blue. And eventually it meant that we ended up here. One commander left standing right now for the red team. It's Circles. He's got about 40 Tsar here. Tsar pretty good. Pretty strong. Not strong enough though. There we go. Final commander is spotted. Oh, Circles. Go for the D-gun. Or accepts defeat. And either way, the blue team manages to claim victory in this game of Beyond All Reason. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Love to see it. I really can't believe it. The red team had the advantage of these mid-sections for the longest time. It looked like they got most of the reclaim as well, but one little battle at a time, the blue team managed to claw themselves back, and despite having so much metal down the drain from these mid-sections, all those mexes being offline, managed to even up and eventually uneven the games in the blue team's favor. What a beautiful match. Thanks a ton for watching, and I sure hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Check out the link down below in the description, the links, pardon me, for a Discord. There's also the official Discord in case you're not part of that for some reason. There's a whole bunch of good stuff, and I will see you in the very next match of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody.